Welcome to Adventure Dad. Today we're going to do a brief walkthrough of the electrical system on our reliable trailer Munson. Our electrical system is pretty simple. The design of the system is pretty simple. Getting to a final design was hard. There was a lot of questions we had to ask ourselves. There was a lot of choices that had to be made. Where did we want to use our trailer? When did we want to use it? How did we want to use it? Once we answered all of those, we decided on a custom system for ourselves, and we've been really happy with the results. Please follow along as we walk you through the choices we made for our dearly beloved Munson. We could have gotten by with a 12-volt system. However, we knew that we wanted some battery charging from shore power. We also needed to get air conditioning. We're going to go down south for a trip. We needed to have air conditioning for this trip this summer. And so we elected to add in shore power, which gave us charging and air conditioning and other appliances at select times. This is what I call a mixed system. We have all three sources of power generation, and we have two sources of distribution, 12 volt and 120 volt. There are a ton of resources available, from full custom installations to full do-it-yourself solutions. We knew we wanted do-it-yourself. My first step was to watch YouTubers such as Explorus.life. So much good info, thank you very much, but still overwhelming. Even with him breaking it down for me, there was so much to consider. The major components were relatively easy. I wanted to stick with Victron. It all worked together. The problem for me was all the small parts. How do I keep track of my lugs and my wire sizes, and where do I need a fuse, and where do I need an inline? It got overwhelming. And then I had to do all my wattage calculations, make sure I had everything right. Eventually I came across AM Solar in Eugene, Oregon. AM Solar offers a unique choice, or a middle ground, between a full custom installation and a do-it-yourself solution. They sell packaged components, and then each package can have add-ons, additions, or alterations. But essentially, when you buy a packaged component, similar to your vehicle charge controller package or your solar charge controller package, you get everything you need. Wiring, lugs, heat shrink, fuses, you name it, you get everything you need. A good example is my solar panel. So each solar panel I ordered came with its own installation kit. Each kit comes with 15 feet of heavy duty power charging wire. So instead of sending me two 15-foot lengths, they sent me one 30-foot length, which is really nice. Now I had a 6-foot run and a 15-foot run, I believe. So I have 8-foot, 9-foot left over. The neat thing about how AM Solar does it is they put together the whole package component kit for me and give me a wiring diagram along with a list of parts. The wiring diagram is available on their website. You just click on the product you ordered. You can see the wiring diagram. The list of parts comes with the shipping invoice. So when you get your initial invoice, it's just going to say you ordered this kit for that much. However, with the shipping, you get this full list of parts. I have relied on this list so many different times. I don't think I have one without check marks next to it to make sure that I put all my parts together. Really, really nice, along with their packaging. Look at this short video here on how they packaged all of their componentry.
All right, and then here's the box that goes with the 100 amp solar charge, 30 amp solar charge controller. So we have our battery switches, we have a breaker, general connections, and once again, all these, there's instructions for all these on AM Solar sites, so I'm able to just pull a box out and kind of work through that component group without staring at 500 connectors just loose laying around. And then it also comes with cable. We'll hope it's enough. I have extra cable laying around. Look at this. Oh, this is good cable. I like it when people send good cable. You can tell it's braided. It's very, very fine strand, but it's very flexible. Yeah, that's cool. Made in the USA. Made in the USA. So 30 feet here.
Everything was individually packaged, wrapped, and labeled. In conjunction with their packaging, my shipping labels allowed me to put everything together into little kits that then I installed one at a time. Basically, I put all of one kit in a box. I took the instructions for that kit, and I put it in. And I put in the next kit, and then I put in the next kit. Really straightforward. So do-it-yourself installation. I know what parts I have, kept it simple. I'm not overflowing with small parts. That is one of the things I liked about AM Solar, is by being able to choose my component groups, I could keep it relatively simple. I chose several groups, called them. We had quite a few discussions over usage and what I needed before we finally formed my kit. Inverters are part of most of these kits. What an inverter does is it allows you to run AC or residential style appliances from your 12-volt batteries when you're not hooked up to shore power. However, after thinking about it, an inverter-based system just added too much for us. In order to take full usage of the abilities of the system, we would need more batteries. We would need a larger solar charger, probably more solar. The system ended up being too big, too complex. I really wanted a simple system. So what we came up with is what I call a split system. It's almost entirely independent, 12 volt. On one side, 12 volt DC. Most of our trailer runs on 12 volt DC, and then we have some 120 volt AC circuitry from where we're plugged into shore power so that we can run an air conditioner primarily. However, where we live, we don't need an air conditioner all that much, so the flexibility of being able to take that in and out, not use it all the time, is really nice. Our trailer's primarily set up to run 12 volt DC backcountry camping type usage. We were able to do this via the Progressive Dynamics PD4045KV. Anyway, it's a panel. It's a distribution panel that allows us to distribute both our 12 volt and our 120 volt AC power, as well as charge our lithium batteries, all in one solution, not part of AM Solar's kit. So this is an add-on that I had to integrate separately, but for me it works out really, really nice. We don't have any one appliance that we need to run when we're off the grid or away from shore power. In fact, a lot of times when we're hooked up to shore power, we don't even run 120 volt AC. The only time we really found we used it was with the air conditioner. By and large, with 12 volt power needs and all the available appliances you can get for your 12 volt system, who needs the added cost and complexity and space? The other thing is more batteries, another charge controller. That's serious real estate in a small trailer like this. One thing you need to consider when designing your electrical system is placement. Where are you going to have enough room to install the system? Where are you going to have room to be able to get to it? But also, where's it going to be out of the way and people aren't going to mess with it? We decided to locate our electrical system in the V-nose of the trailer in front of this cabinet. This cabinet generally holds our Dometic refrigerator and our trash can on this pull-out slide. Once the slide is pulled out, you can see where we have our electrical box and our electrical system. In the top right corner, the red switch is solar power coming in so that we can shut off solar power to work on the system. The cigarette lighter plug is for our Dometic refrigerator. The upper doors, this upper box here, is access for all of our electrical system components. The lower door is our battery box. At this point, we should discuss what electrical fixtures our trailer has. First, we have 3 LED exterior porch lights that are controlled via this switch right here. Those LED porch lights are super bright, really a nice addition. Then we have 8 interior pucks controlled by this dimmer right here. These are both on the 12 volt only side. These are the 8 main pucks in the ceiling of the trailer, including 2 that are above the bed. Below the bed we have 4 more lights controlled by this dimmer right here. We also have dimmable lights over the kitchen sink behind this upper cabinet. We have 2 ceiling fans, 2 Max Air Deluxe ceiling fans. And then we have several USB plugs. We have one in the rear bench. Here you can see our double outlets for our dual electrical system, what I call a split system. Plugged into shore power, whether at a residence or a campground, we use this outlet right here. This is 120 volt AC power. All other times, and at all times, we could use this 12 volt DC. So this is powered by the batteries. So whether on shore power or coming off of the batteries via solar or whatever else, we can use this 12 volt DC USB plug-in right here. These USB plugs are superfluous. We didn't really need them since these are always powered. And we have another right here. Finally, our last component is the water pump, 12 volt DC. The AC side is relatively simple. We have the 3-prong plug-in at the rear bench area. We also have another 3-prong right here. We have a 3-prong or 120 volt AC plug-in back here. This is for our air conditioner, and then this plug-in right here is for a conference table pop-up. And so we have more plug-ins here. We'll start at the battery box. The lower portion of our electrical area has room for two 100 amp hour Life Blue batteries. These were recommended by AM Solar. One battery is part of my base kit, and I ordered one expansion kit which included one battery. Life Blue batteries include a Bluetooth app for tracking performance and charging history of the batteries. We found this system to be intuitive and easy to use, to the point that we rarely looked at our Victron battery monitor. I contacted Life Blue customer service several times via phone or email. They responded quickly and answered all of my questions. We have had great support so far. I also had to build a battery box, which you can see here in the lower portion. These aluminum rods here are my battery box, and then I used a river cam to tie the two batteries down inside of the battery box. And then over here you can see the common positive bus bar that I had to purchase in order to get all of my battery connections to work, that AM Solar does not include. Overall, pretty easy to do. I think it's something they should probably include in their kit so they can control the quality of the bus bar. Here is the upper electrical box. This is where we keep our components, and also you can see our distribution panel on the left. So when this opens up, distribution panel takes up a lot of the room, but it does provide us a good workspace access. So I can pull this door open, reach all the wires I need to, get work done. When we open the other side, our solar charge controller, our vehicle charge kit, battery monitor hardware, grounding wires, and a whole bunch of other stuff. We chose the Victron Smart MPPT 130 amp solar charge controller. This is an upper end controller made for smooth charging. We received it as part of the Victron Complete Charger Kit from AM Solar. The kit included solar panels, roof mounting feet, a through roof combiner box, wiring, lugs, solar charge controller, solar disconnect switch, and a 40 amp breaker. We ordered two 200 watt grape solar panels and a side port which allows us to be able to charge with a portable solar panel in the future. The charge controller has really tight wire input holes, and getting all four wires to fit and adequately clamp was just not happening. The problem I was encountering prior to buying the ferrule tool was trying to put these wires into those little holes. The ferrule tool solved my issues. Let me show you a ferrule tool. What I found I needed was a ferrule, which is a metal connection on the end of your wire. I'm able to get my wire in here, nice and clean, no wires hanging out. This is the Pros kit ferrule crimper I bought on Amazon. For a hobbyist like myself, works just fine. Get it all the way through. I actually did my cut a little bit short because I didn't get all of the wire through. Learning curve. There's one ferrule connection. It is so much easier to wire and to bolt down wire ports with one of these than it is to try to jam that giant big wire in there. Ferrules come in packs 100. I'll probably never use them all. They're cheap. Really does make a nice connection. The solar panels were easy to install, and the feet sold by AM Solar are really pretty cool. Allow for a really nice install.
Give it a good pull. Okay, so you just gotta double check it, okay? Now do it. Now give it a spin. Oh, strong boy. You tilted it right around and pinched me. Don't push too hard. There you are. Good job. Stop, 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 stop. So once it goes through, you're done. Good job. You know what I mean? Did you feel where it went through? Mm-hmm. So all you do is pull this forward there, put in the other one. Good. Okay. So once it goes through, you stop, okay? That's why that wood's there. Okay, stop. There you are. Good job. And you use your deburring tool, and all you do is you run it, put it just put the first part of it in there, and just run it around a circle. Good job. Now let's feel it. And so it feels good. Okay, so vacuum. This is an AM Solar installation here. It's a really, really clean way to install your solar. It also allows you to tilt it if you needed to, and if you wanted to get on the roof of your tall trailer. Now they sell these with 3M adhesive, and they say just glue them onto the trailer and it won't fall off. I absolutely believe them. I think that is the case, that if I could just glue these on. However, I can't show you now, this trailer
lid is really loose. And so initially I just glued these on. I didn't want any holes in the roof right here. And I glued these down, and I could move them up and down 3 or 4 inches. So I just pictured what would happen going into a headwind at 70 miles an hour, and these things, you know, basically turning into the right flyer and trying to rip my roof off. So I ended up going through and bolting these in. I just bolted them right through the ceiling inside. Turned out pretty clean, you barely notice it. So I bought some long stainless steel bolts, drilled these, put them through, and then covered everything with a bunch of Dicor. And then here's the AM Solar power box. Here, I have to tell you, I'm picky, and this AM Solar package was not what I would call cheap, but it was very economical. The support was great, and it's very well thought out. So this little waterproof junction box for your solar, I think it can handle something like 12 solar panels if you wanted to. This is my AM Solar roof combiner box, all installed. Use the Sikaflex on the edge. It's still greasy. Have my 2 lines here. Now, one of the reasons I went with the larger panels with the 200 watt panels is so I have less wires to deal with in the combiner box. I'm going to put on my AM Solar roof combiner box, and I think we should be pretty good up here. Fingers crossed. This small box right here is part of AM Solar's vehicle charge control kit. This component here allows us to charge from the tow vehicle into the trailer. Kind of a hard component to set up by yourself. AM Solar had all the small parts necessary for this install. Really made this part of the installation quick. The Progressive Dynamics PD4045KV really is the heart of our system. This is what allowed us to have a simple split electrical system, really easy to use, one single distribution panel for all of our needs, one charging point or power point for charging. So the KV at the end of the PD4045 means this is the most updated unit for 2021. It has this little switch right here, which allows for lead acid or lithium battery charging. I have never used the lead acid, only the lithium. All of our 12-volt electrical needs come through these 2 terminals right here. So we have battery power positive coming in, battery power negative. This is also where we get our charging of our batteries, whether solar or through the PD system. Really quite elegant. So this is our 12-volt distribution channel here. These red wires are 12-gauge wires. They're for 20 amp circuits. The black wires, I believe, are 14-gauge. And they are for 15 amp circuits. And so you can see I have various circuits here. I have not used either of the higher amp circuitry. The PD404500 KV has 4 AC, 120 volt AC bus bars. Now, this can be run with all split buses or split breakers right here. However, these were sold out when I did my system, and I really don't have complex needs, so I kept it pretty simple. The first one you have is the power to the system. So this is the main breaker. This could be split. Main breaker here. This is the solar charge controller right here. These could be on the same split bus, which would leave 3 buses or potentially 6 open circuits. We have the main breaker, our lithium ion charger. This is one of our 120 volt AC outlets. This is another outlet. This is a third outlet. One thing I will say is this is a really small space. If you were going to run dual breakers on each of these bus points, so 8 total, I think it would be a wiring mess. At least for me it would. Also, due to the constrained area, this is why I chose to use that marine grade wire in a Romex type configuration. It's because it's so flexible, I could bend it wherever I needed it. I want to talk about the difference between traditional Romex, which I have right here, with one solid piece of copper wire running through the middle, versus tinned marine wire. I really don't need the protection offered by tinned copper marine wire. The big difference is flexibility. So if we look at the traditional Romex on the right, it's very stiff, it's very hard to work, and so in a little box like we have here with that PD4045, these are very difficult to work with. Whereas the tinned marine wire is very flexible. You tie it in a knot, you untie it, straighten it back out, holds its form. This is a superior product to use, especially since we won't be using too much of it inside of our trailer. The key to using the PD 40-4500 is grounding. The installation instructions are not all that clear regarding grounding. What you need to do for this system to work is to put in 3 separate independent chassis grounds for 3 different connections. The first is at the battery charging point. The second is at the 120 volt AC side on the common ground. And the final is for the distribution, the negative side of your fixture distribution. So the red wires that we showed earlier. This final is for a battery monitor, has its own chassis ground as well. So I put in smooth this whole area off, put in the 4 holes, got a good ground for each of these, and then spray painted it. 2 of those exterior grounds come into the box. The first is right back in here. You can't see it. There's a black wire hidden inside this common bus ground bar for the AC side, and that goes to the frame. You must ground this to the frame. The other ground you have to do is off of the battery charging side. This is the 2 main battery charging wires, and then this ground right here is another one of my chassis grounds. So in the box we have to add 2 grounds, one for the 12 volt side, one for the 120 volt AC side. Behind the box here, you'll see the 3rd grounding point is right there. It's the bus bar with all the red wires going to it. What you need to do is independently ground each of your circuit wires. The other thing that was important was to use this wire in a home run configuration, no breaks. It leaves the power box and goes all the way to where it's supplying power, whether that's a fixture or a switch. And then it comes back and grounds out. I didn't do any intermittent grounds. I didn't hit the frame at all for various points of grounding, except for my common grounds. I didn't hide any of my grounds behind the walls or in a cabinet. Everything comes back here. This ground right here is another chassis ground. So you can see it going to the chassis right here, which allows me to independently ground each of my circuits. The PD unit does support a master DC power off switch. There is a way to wire that in. I don't have one. My next installation will have a master power off switch for all my DC circuitry. Red, black, green, white, short dashes, long dashes, partially shaded wires, labeled wires. It is so hard to decide on a single wiring protocol. Every single component I tried to add to this system seemed to have a different wiring protocol. In order to keep it simple, I just chose a color. I don't really remember why I chose what I did, but I chose black as positive, red is negative or grounding, which is opposite of my Victron and AM solar kit. All of their wiring diagrams have red is positive, black is negative. In this case, like I said, my system, black is positive, red is negative, super hard to keep track of. I found that heat shrink on the ends of my terminals, really, really important. I did order all of my marine wire special with red and black. You can get it in different colors inside of the loom. I chose red and black, which kept everything simple for me, something you might want to consider. Located at the driver's front corner of the trailer, underneath the body, is our 120 volt AC shore power connection. Got a little crazy with the foam here. Easy spot to put it. I didn't have to drill into the side of the trailer into the sheet metal. Really pretty low profile and out of the way installation. Easy enough to get to. When we get to shore power, we just swing this down, and then we have a locking cord that we can lock onto this ring right here. Just screw it on. Please like, subscribe, follow along, ask questions. You know the deal. We appreciate your time.